Okay, thank you. I tried to open my mic and I couldn't open it, so now it's all okay. I don't know if all of you guys are muted and you have absolutely no control. Maybe also whoever can do something about this, it's okay to, it's for everybody, whenever they want to open their mic and say something. Because
They can now, Anila.
okay, good, because we will try to make this into some sort of discussion. It can, of course, then go totally chaotic, and some people might get upset and this and that, and but it will be okay. Then we can just, keep a calm mind and say, oh, maybe this is not exactly the way I wanted it to be, but it is still okay. So good morning, everybody, in this meaningful day of Yom Kippur, and the day that the talk or the discussion on forgiving. Now, the topic of forgiving in Buddhism is not really talked about much because with views of nothing happens just like this. Everything has causes and conditions, kind of karma. And of course, causes and conditions we can see when we talk to a farmer, then, or we see our garden, we know that we need causes in order to have some fruits. This is something that we can see. But when we talk about, in Buddhism, when one talks about karma, very often the seeds or the causes for things to arise or things to happen did not happen in this life. And of course, then this is really difficult to, accept. I think I was listening to Geshe Kelsang Wangmo from last Monday, and the discussion was, is it easier to kind of understand or comprehend karma, or is it easier to understand emptiness? So she didn't give an answer. I think that was the homework for the people. In my eyes, it is easier to kind of at least intellectually grasp emptiness, that things do not exist from their own side, that when we try to find, when we try to find a mala in this mala, we cannot find it, so that this mala is empty of being a real mala. Then we apply this to the I or to the self. Yeah, like especially when we talk about forgiving and forgiveness and all this, we have a very strong sense of I, me, that seems to be separate from the body and the mind, just like a third entity. And then when we look for it, all we find is not I, right? So that's what they call emptiness. So emptiness doesn't really mean nothing. Emptiness means I am looking for something, but that thing that I'm looking for is not there. Right? So when you go into emptiness, don't think that nothing exists. Things and events and us and others and all that, it just does not exist the way that it appears to us. Okay? So I would like to spend just a few minutes on motivation, because that is very, very important, because whatever the stronger the motivation, the clearer we know what we want and why we are doing things, and then at the end we dedicate the energy that we have spent to do these things, the easier difficult jobs become, because forgiving or being forgiven and all these kind of things, it is not an easy job. I think we can agree on that. If you open the Google or the YouTube and you go into put in forgiving, you have kind of hundreds of talks and advice and all this kind of things coming up. So just in case you don't like what I'm saying, just go out of the Zoom and go into the Google and then find somebody that you prefer to hear what they're saying. Because also forgiving, it's such a huge topic. And probably the most difficult thing is very personal. It is very, very personal. We will go through these 9 steps of forgiving, which are not from Buddhism. It's not from the Buddha. It's from a psychologist. His name is Fred Laskin, and I've been using them every Yom Kippur. You're probably very familiar with them. If you go, and for those people who have participated in Yom Kippur retreats, if you go and look at your notes in, like 2015, 16, 17, you'll probably find them there. Because I always do the same thing. Because as a psychologist and also as just a very normal person, we know if we have habits, if we have tendencies, or if we try something and it doesn't work the first time, what's the only remedy? When I ask and then I wait, then somebody can just, open out the mic and say, what's the only remedy?
To try something else.
Sorry?
Try something else.
Oh, okay. So Adriana is saying try something else. But what if you're not so serious about what you want, then try something else. Yeah. If you are serious about what you want and you found, maybe this is what I forgot to say, you have some faith that this could work, because otherwise you wouldn't have tried it out, then what's the remedy?
Practicing. Forgive yourself. No?
Repeating again and again and again and again and again. We just have to hear the same thing again and again and again and again. We have to remind ourselves again and again and again and again. And so yesterday afternoon, I kind of promised that this would not be kind of Buddhist, religious, with Buddhas and the 3 jewels and all this. Then I regretted that already this morning. Because, for aspirations and for motivations, we have such beautiful prayers. That is not my words. It's like Shantideva, it is Nagarjuna, it is Maitreya, it is like beings who are realized, beings who have, who are living what they're saying. So sometimes it's quite good for you also to find your own personal, we call them prayers, but they're not really prayers, because we are asking something when we do Buddhist prayers. We are asking for inspiration. We're asking, we're asking for blessings. They use in the English translations, they use the word blessing, but it's not really blessing, it's inspiration. We're asking that we will always be inspired. What does it mean, inspiration? Again, we're just using word. But what happens when you are inspired? You are awake, you are interested, you are there, you forget about other things, you concentrate on one thing and it's easy. So inspiration is really, really, really is really important, and an aspiration also to attain something is very important. Right? So in these prayers, for example, one says, one verse from Nagarjuna's, it's in the dedication, but dedications at the end, when we finish something, we dedicate to that goal, but dedications can be, it can be the same thing as aspiration. It's always, may I then become this and this and this and this. So for example, one verse in Nagarjuna's 20 verses of dedication at the end is like, I don't know exactly by heart, but like the sense or the meaning of it. May I be able to stop harming others when they are out to stop themselves or others without harming them. Maybe somebody wants to translate it in Hebrew so that we're sure everybody understands. So we all have the wish to be able to stop others from harming either themselves or others. Do we agree? But very often we don't know how. We don't know how to stop harming. We don't know how to stop them from harming themselves or others or us, right? And then very often we use anger. And we make them afraid, and we act out of anger. And yes, they might stop harming others themselves, or themselves probably not. But they might stop harming us because they're afraid of us, because we used anger. But then when we become weaker or we turn our back, then we just get it back. I'm not talking about the political situation, okay? I'm talking about daily life here. So when we have this aspiration, you know, I think we do have a natural aspiration wanting to be able for others to be harmed, or, you know, especially the harmers, to be able to stop them from harming. Can we agree on that? It's a very natural wish, because nobody wants to be harmed. Everybody wants to be helped. So just to protect the ones who will get harmed is a good thing, but it's not the final, it's not, I can't use the word final solution here. It's not a permanent solution, right? Because the permanent solution is we have to stop the cause, we have to stop the harmer. So I think we can agree that we do have this wish. This is why when we see something that is harmful, we criticize, we talk about it, we bring it up. Why do we bring it up? If there is absolutely no interest in changing something or having the ability to change something, what's the point of discussing it? So that we discuss it or that we say it is a clear sign that we would like to be able to, for the harm to be stopped. And if we could, we want to get involved. Actually, we get involved sometimes much too much, because we kind of have to think that we want to educate other people. I'm just talking about the wish to do that. The wish to do that is good. But then before we kind of start educating other people, we have to look at our motivation. Is it just because we want the people who get harmed to be protected, or is it because we want to, we want also the one who harms others to stop, so that he is protected from creating negative karma? So if we use that last line in that verse, may I be able to kind of, we can say, influence others, inspire others to stop harming themselves or others without harming them. It changes the whole thing. You know, it makes our very natural wish to be able to stop harm, it makes it non-violent in a way, isn't it? And then we are protected. What do you think? Maybe not too well. If you don't think anything, that's fine. Then it's very peaceful. There's no chaos. There's absolutely no problem. But how about you put your thoughts in the chat? I think that would be quite a good thing, because then it doesn't get chaotic. Yes?
Can I ask a question?
No, because I said, I ask you a question. I asked you what you think. So if you're thinking what you think is a question, then yes, of course. But if it has nothing to do with what we just said, then okay. Then no.
Can you repeat the question, please?
Okay. The question is, we all have at what should we leave the relationship with a family member if they're violent? Immediately. This is, okay, now we go already into questions. So then it's like, I'm just talking about attitudes here. I'm not talking about situations. But if somebody is abusive, please, physically, even verbally, even mentally. Yesterday, because I was jumping around in the Google, and I learned a new word, gaslighting. I didn't even know that this existed. I had to look it up, what that is. You know, people who, I think it used to be called mobbing, maybe, you know, people who totally destroy your self-confidence and who kind of, you are very manipulating and this and that. So, although, okay, we have a new word, but it's still the same thing. It's still the same thing. So what I started with was saying, I think we all have a very natural thing. Let's make it even easier and less complicated. I think we all have a very natural attitude, not liking being harmed and not liking it when others get harmed. If we look upon these that get harmed in a loving or neutral way, we get angry. If people get harmed that we dislike, sometimes we even like it. And we think, yeah, they deserve it, they will learn something, this and that, you know. That this is not really working, I think you can see if you just look at family stories, history, whatever, right? That creating suffering in somebody in order to educate them, well, maybe it works sometimes, but most of the time it doesn't work. If the person understands why now you are harming them because they harmed you, then they will stop harming. But most of the time, it is not understood. So again, please, I have to repeat here. I'm not talking about the political situation. You know, I'm not talking about the war, right? But you can apply it there also. But I don't have an answer to that either. So, but I'm talking about, you know, personal stuff, right? So we have to wish. When we are in a calm and right mind, we do have a wish to protect even people we don't like so much, and especially the weak. You know, people are always siding up with the weak because we think that these are the ones who need protection. But the ones who are violent, they also need protection. They need protection to be protected from doing more violence. So when this question was in the chat, about what was it again? How long should you stay? What point should we leave the relationship with the family member if they're violent? If you can. So now again, you know, this is the whole thing is, can you leave? But if you can leave, you should leave immediately. Because by leaving also, they cannot create more negative karma with you. Many people harm themselves, yeah. Maybe we should just do question and answer. How do we actually influence them without harming them? And how do we do this without seeming to know more than them? Yeah, it's very difficult. You see, this is it. We're always very ready to give good advice and this and that. And we do this by putting ourselves higher than them. Look, I know what you should do. And we do this without having them asking us, isn't it? Very often we tell them. So if somebody asks you, says, oh, I know I'm harming myself, what should I do? And all this, then if you know what to do, then of course you should. But here again, you're already jumping to actions. Do you notice that? I started with aspiration. I started with attitude. So, but if our attitude and aspiration is not right, then it's very difficult for the action to become right. So let's, may I always dissuade? Thank you. Was it David? Yeah. May I always dissuade all at once, all these, dissuade all at once, all these beings of any world who intend to engage in negativity without doing them any harm. So you see, this is Nagarjuna who says that. Nagarjuna is a great scholar and he teaches on emptiness, bodhicitta, compassion and all this, and he dedicates for that. So in order to be able to do that, we have to become Buddhas. So again, giving talks, which is more psychology than Buddhism, I find this very difficult because the aspiration of becoming a Buddha, then having the skills and the possibilities to maybe stop harming others without harming them, then becomes much more realistic. Okay? Now, a Buddha is not omnipotent. A Buddha is just omniscient, has universal compassion, universal wisdom, and universal skillful means, okay, in order to do something. But a Buddha is not omnipotent. So it doesn't mean, you see, like the Dalai Lama, for example, yeah, I'm talking about inspiring. So we can, if our heart, I think, is really pure and our motivation and aspiration is really pure, that we're not doing this for us. This is another thing, you know. If we want to influence others, we have to make sure that we are not doing this for us, but we're doing it for them. And that very often also not so pure, right? So we have to work on this first before we say something, before we do something. So the Dalai Lama inspires many, many people, but not everybody. But he puts seeds in many, many people's minds. Seeds that maybe only ripen in 10 million lifetimes, and they will start to apply these methods of non-violence, of wisdom, of loving kindness, and of compassion. Maybe, not even sure. But he inspires many, many people, like I can see some of you that I know, that then not only, you know, not only the seeds are being put, but these seeds that maybe were put before many, many lifetimes, by meeting people like the Dhamma, by meeting like people like the Dalai Lama, then all of a sudden we decide to apply it and to put it into practice and to study and to learn and to really take our ego and ourselves back a bit and not always, you know, kind of doing what I want to do, but also letting others go first, or practice the 6 perfections of generosity, ethical conduct, patience, enthusiasm, concentration and wisdom, or all these kind of things, practice bodhicitta. Yeah, so for that you need somebody who is realized to be able to, because that is answering, I think, that kind of question. How can you protect from violence without being violent yourself? I can't, probably you can't, but this is why we have to become a Buddha. And this is why I'm not really kind of doing Buddhist prayers, because I don't know your attitude, right? I don't know what your goal is. But as a Buddhist, then this is what you want. You want to become a Buddha in order to really know, in order to be able to inspire beings, like, for example, you know, our masters, the Dalai Lama, all these beings, they inspire many, many people to stop harming others. Then you see the questions that you are asking. Doesn't kindness to someone who is harming sometimes convey weakness or a lack of boundaries? Whether it conveys, you know, we're talking about patience, I guess, you know. So being patient, when somebody thinks that I am very patient, it can be cowardice, right? That you don't you are too afraid to act, or you are like there's this false Buddhist patience that you don't want to harm or hurt the feelings of others, okay? And then we don't say anything when something needs to be said. But that is not what is being meant here. Again, you know, when we talk about harm, putting boundaries and all this, again, I give you a Tibetan kind of saying The Tibetans, when they discipline their children, even today, sometimes they hit them. And people, we are very shocked. Because, we see the Tibetans, the Buddhists, full of loving kindness, full of compassion. We see the Dalai Lama, we can't imagine that they would hit. So then Chadu Rinpoche, that some of you might know, and we discussed it, we discussed the difficulties that the Tibetans face in America when they send their children to school, and the school teachers tell them you have to sue your parents if they hit you. So then they get all confused. Now, there is a huge difference between hitting somebody with anger and hitting somebody with concern. And this is, I think this will, doesn't kindness to someone who is harming sometimes convey weakness? Do you think kindness is always soft and loving? You see, we use words and then we don't really mean what it means. Loving kindness is always letting others do what they want to do. If you have this kind of kindness for your children, they will suffer a lot as when they grow up. So kindness can be, you are very stern and very strong. And actually the Tibetans say, when in case you have to hit your children, it's not that they just hit left and right and this and that. In case you have to hit your children, your face has to be as black as coal, and your heart has to be as white as snow. You see, when we are using anger to put boundaries, to stop somebody from harming, then one thing is we create negative karma for ourselves, for the future. This is one thing. And so that same thing falls on us. But if we do it out of real concern in order to stop the other from harming us, then it doesn't create negative karma. So being kind and not harming doesn't mean you let them do what they want to do. Is that clear? But then the big question is, do we have the skill? Do we have the skills to stop them? I don't know. You see, again, this if you are really living in a situation that is very difficult and you're getting abused or manipulated and somebody who has no boundaries, then go and find help with somebody, psychologist or a Buddhist practitioner or whatever, and then we can discuss the individual situation to give kind of universal answer to these questions. I'm sure you are aware of it. It's totally impossible, because it depends so much in what kind of state is the person that is being manipulated, abused, whatever. Sometimes I've seen it in a friend of mine who is a very good Christian, by the way. She was kind of verbally abused by her partner, by her husband, again and again and again and again. But she stayed with him because she really loved him, and she was convinced that she could help him to stop being violent. She never got angry at him, and she never got really hurt, because she found her ways and her methods in Christianity, in spiritual practice, in the religion of Christianity. When the children started to suffer from this and they don't have Christianity, she divorced and separated herself from it. But she never, ever, ever had, she was frustrated, of course, but she never hated him. Maybe we should, instead of using anger, because also anger is, sometimes we need anger in order to react. But when it turns into hate, and just not when the wish to stop the other from harming changes into the wish that they suffer so that they will stop harming others, when that kind of goes that way, then we should be careful and then we should stop. Do you see what I mean? No. Okay, sorry. Then maybe try to go and see some other. Again, it comes down to the motivation. What is my motivation? Is my motivation just to protect myself? Or is my motivation also, can I include the other one in my motivation when I use forceful means, let's call it like that, to make them stop harming others? And I'm pretty sure you all think about the Palestinians and Lebanon and all this. I am not talking about this. I do not have an answer for this. And also, I don't want to discuss it. I'm not Israeli. I'm not a politician. I don't have an answer. You know, I can give you ways and means and methods how to deal with your mind, because that's what it's all about. So Buddhism is not so much what we do with others. Buddhism is more how to take care of your own mind, right? So, yes, okay. So anyway, somebody's raising.
Can I say something?
Yeah, sure. I'm sure I'm getting myself into deep trouble here. So maybe you better get by starting like this. It wasn't planned to go this way, like always. I do have some plans lately, but still, you know, the habit of having a plan is not strong enough so that I do it. So then I'm really sorry. But if you think it's total nonsense, then go into the Google. I tell you, they have wonderful things, wonderful advice of wonderful people. So whoever said something, can I say something? So yes, please do, because you've been very patient. So I don't know who it was.
אני אשמח להגיד, אבל בעברית. בסדר? אחר כך דוד יתרגם.
בסדר, אבל אני רציתי להגיד משהו.
אז קודם איסי ואחר כך חיה. תודה.
תודה.
Wants to speak in Hebrew.
Thank you for your talks. But I feel it's quite hard because putting boundaries is okay with assertiveness. It doesn't have to be with aggressive or with how do you say it, with hitting the children or something, or the wife or whatever. But I think that putting boundaries is very, very important, but it doesn't have to be aggressive.
Yeah, okay, it's fine. You know, again, in what the Buddhists mean, what the Tibetans mean, the mind is not aggressive, and an aggressive mind wants to harm just for the sake to harm, having some kind of delusion behind that it will be beneficial. It might stop the other when you are physically violent. And again, you know, don't go around now and say, okay, I can hit my children. No, you cannot hit your children because you're not Buddhists and you're not Tibetans. The Tibetans are very resilient. The Tibetans, because of their philosophy, because of what they learn from very small, that there is no I, there is no ego, there is no self, there is no that, and they learn about compassion and all this. Their methods are totally different. So maybe I should have said that. I just wanted to tell you that a child can be hit. A Tibetan Buddhist child can be hit and then say, when they are grown up, I am so grateful that my parents hit me because I was such a terrible child, and I would not be what I am today if they would not have hit me. This is very personal. I just wanted to give you the kind of the example that is possible to be assertive and it doesn't create any harm. And I'm sorry if you misunderstood. Is that kind of, did they come across? So please, I didn't mean to say hit your children. I just meant to say that not everything that looks aggressive or whatever is aggressive. And whether it becomes aggressive or not is in your own mind. And if you're a parent of a child Your love for the child should have enough wisdom to know what the child needs now. Does it need assertiveness, or does it need just this soft kindness so that it calms down when it's very violent? As a parent, you should know in what way you react to your children, to your partners, to your family, right? If love is present, you know. If love is absent, you don't, and then it becomes harmful. This is what I kind of think is very, very important. So it's really important to work with, to work with our own mind, to make our mind strong. And then our own mind also. You see, this friend of mine and her partner, he didn't hit, but he was very abusive with words and his mind was in constant anger. She recognized that she could not help him. Then they separated. But before he died, like she was then, you know, because he lived alone and she was looking after him and all this. And I found this so, and she was very happy. This is the thing. She is a very, very happy, strong person, right? So, and looking after her partner and being with him as he was in the process of dying, you know, she was very happy that she was able to do that. If it would have gotten into hate, she wouldn't have been able to look after him and she would have suffered. This is the thing, you know, if being harmed and hurt, and if we don't do something about this, and then we get angry, and then it turns into hate, and then we are the ones who suffer. I mean, they've been separated. He wouldn't have suffered from her hate because they didn't have contact anymore, right? So this is what it is. So maybe let's go to a little bit safer ground here, because otherwise, you see, this is why I have to say, I don't like Yom Kippur retreats, because I could say something that is absolutely not helpful and could actually be harmful, because the group is so big. Most of you people, I don't know what you went through. I know what you are going through now as a nation. And I know that this is heavy, 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 and very, very difficult. This is all I know, right? So this is why also I take refuge in Fred Luskins, and we go back to forgiveness. I hope it's, how you can, if you're not a Buddha, are you saying that when violence is not involved, the only way to influence? No. I'm not saying that. Again, if before we use violence, then check your mind so that you're not creating negative karma for yourself. This is what I'm saying. You see, very often we feel justified to be angry. I mean, people very often, they ask me about, how about justified anger, right? Every anger is justified. My anger is always justified. Everybody feels when they're angry that it is justified. But there is no such thing as justified anger. But again, you know, the problem word here is anger, because anger in Buddhist terms means the wish to harm. And anger in Western psychology terms doesn't always mean the wish to harm, I think. Yeah. But what I'm saying, or what I'm trying to say, is when you use anger, when you use violence, try to, at least in your mind, before you do the action, before you say the word, but anger is so fast, it's so quick, try to include the happiness of the other person in your action. Seems impossible, but it is possible. Example, your children. With your children, it comes spontaneously, right? When you kind of have to, you know, when you have to be assertive, I don't know what kind of words to use so that it kind of comes across well, but maybe assertive is the right word. Because when we use violence, you know, there's always the negative thing is already in it. So assertive, I don't know. What does it mean, assertive? I really mean what I'm saying? Is that assertive? Well, anger also at that moment means what it says. You know, when you're angry, you're very assertive. And if you don't believe me, we can do a short kind of reflection. You close your eyes, you think about a person who is angry at you and shouts at you. You know, something simple, again, in the street, you took somebody's parking lot or whatever. Do you think they are assertive? Do you think they believe what they are saying? Of course they believe what they are saying. For them, whatever they say is absolute truth. And it's the same for us, by the way. But we don't notice it. So the same way as the person who's very assertive with you when they say it, you know, kind of, it's the same for us also. Whatever comes across with anger is not being received very well also because we don't believe it. Then if you are afraid of the person, then of course you stop. If you're not afraid of the person, you shout back or you hit back or whatever, and so it continues. So this is what it is doing. But when I use the word anger, then please try to use it or understand it. The Buddhist way of when we talk about anger is the wish to harm. So maybe we should just use hate, but again, hate is very strong. And this wish to harm is very hidden, very, very often. You know, we only notice it once the anger has gone. Have you ever apologized in a way by saying, oh la la, I am really sorry for what I said. I don't know what happened. This is not like me. Or at least thought that. That's it. When we are angry and anger is overtaking us, when anger goes, then we go like, oh my gosh, what have I said? We would never say these things, maybe the things we would say them, but not...
But in another way.
Exactly, but in another way, not with the arrow of anger who wants to harm. And this is how I usually, when I say, it hasn't happened since a long time, but, you know, also in Israel, at the beginning when I came to Israel, I got so angry. Somebody said they can't see me in the screen, so I don't know. Doesn't matter. I'm not a very beautiful person, but the main thing is that you can hear me. So, you know, I got so angry and then sometimes I exploded, and I also shouted with anger. And to one person, you know, when anger has died down, I went to see her and I apologized. I said, look, what I said, I would still say it now. I can repeat what I said, but I would say it in a calm way. When I said it to you half an hour before, I said it with anger, and that was not right. But what I said, that's what I mean, but I said it in a way that is where it was too much, it was too strong. She's Israeli, you know what she said? She said, no, it's very good. I really needed to hear that. I tell you, if I would have done that in Switzerland, that person would have run away and would never have come again back to a course. And with this person, we became very good friends. So there you go. So you are somehow more resilient to things being said to you in a very strong, assertive way. But still, it's all about what do I do with my anger. So we're going to Fred Laskin's because otherwise we'll never get there. I'm going to share the screen, and then we look at some of my notes that I made. we look at some of my plan that I made. Here. Okay. So because it's all, you know, it's about forgiving. It's not about how to. By the way, it's not about how to stop harming others. It's about forgiving, Yom Kippur, as far as I know. But this is it. We're always interested in to stop harming others, and it's my fault because I started like this. I'm not blaming you for anything because I used that verse from Nagarjuna. But when it goes around forgiving, not forgiving, you know, and all this, then I think this wish to harm and why do we forgive is very important. So, so when we talk about forgiving, also somebody has their mic open, so maybe you close it. So then we really have to forgiving first ourselves. Like it depends. Which way do you want to look? You want to look forgiving others, or you want to look that others should forgive you, because that it's different, right? So this one is that when we have harmed somebody else, right? So then we have to really learn not to feel guilty and not to be ashamed in the Western Buddhist, in the Western psychological terms. Guilt and shame is no good. In Tibetan Buddhist terms, shame is very good because it will help you to stop to do the action. In Western terms, is no good because there's a huge ego involved in guilt and shame. If we can separate our action from, you know, to really understand, if we can really start to understand why we do negative actions, then there's no need for shame and guilt. And if we have a strong wish and of our aspiration is that we will be able to stop harming others, then there's no need for guilt and shame also. But being guilty and being ashamed, it closes the heart for us Westerners. So this is why we can't use these words as positive mental factors. We changed the words shame and embarrassments, which are two positive mental factors. We changed them into integrity and consideration for others. Okay, so these are attitudes that are very beneficial in a way. So, but guilt and shame, we're afraid, you know, that it comes out. We try to hide, we separate from others, and especially guilt and shame, we don't give ourselves the permission to be happy anymore, and that's the worst. Because if you are not happy, then all the other, you know, anger, frustration, stress, jealousy, all of this kind of takes over. Yeah, like guilt and shame in Western psychological terms are detrimental for the immune system of the mind. But if you have guilt and shame, then you have to see, what can I do about it? So then there's many different ways. So if you don't give ourselves the permission to be happy, it results in depression or anger and jealousy towards people who are well. Okay, so this is what I kind of thought that we would talk about, but then I think we just look at the questions, you try to answer it yourself, because this is it, you know, it's very personal. You have to know what is forgiveness. Oh, there's more messages coming here. Makes sense. If we're not a Buddha, are you saying that when violence is not involved, the only way? No, the only way to influence the only way to influence people by example is when we are a Buddha, you know, when we are realized. So that's it. I cannot. Okay, I think this is the 50th Yom Kippur that I'm hearing. Okay. Okay. Anyway. So I didn't read the whole message because I really want to get on with it. So for you, what is forgiveness? What does it mean to forgive? Whom do we want to forgive, ourselves or others? I would say both. Big question here that is really worthwhile to look at is what prevents us to forgive, right? So very often it's the fear like this, you know, I have to be assertive, I cannot forgive because they do the same thing again and again and again and again. And it's true. It's true, if we're too forgiving and you know, somebody even maybe sometimes they want to apologize, and you know, we say, oh no, it's okay, you know, it's not so bad and this and that. We open the door for them to do it again. But you see, we don't have control over others. We would like to have control over others, but we don't. How others behave with us in Buddhist terms is according to karma. According to karma means action, according to how we are now, but especially according to what we did in the past. So we have no control. We would like to have control, but we don't. Not even over your children we have to control. But I think what it means to forgive is that I'm not mulling to forgive others when they hurt me. It's not bringing up again and again and again and again as a weapon to be, you know, kind of as an excuse to be angry, to be depressed, to be this, to be that, and to be violent also, and to be negative, you know? I think that's what it is. But these are questions. I can send you my whole notes that I have over this, but the way you understand or not, I don't know. These are questions you have to ask yourself, you know, because as I said, it's very, very, I can maybe help you with this, but it's very personal. Okay, so then that was more. So what is happiness? You know, then also last Saturday when we had this thing about everybody wants to be happy, nobody wants to be harmed, or nobody wants to suffer, but yet we all, and then somebody said, but I don't want to be happy in the situation that we have now. So that's happy, you know, just going out, consuming pleasure and all this. Yes, I understand also. But this is not the happiness that one talks about. Happiness is more a well-being, a spaciousness of heart, or the spaciousness of mind, or a calm mind. Resilience, maybe resilience is a good word also, to be able to stay calm in situation where that is very difficult. Again, this is mind training. It has to be trained. And by the way, when I logged in, I saw that you have wonderful programs coming up, because my Google is kind of spontaneously translating the Hebrew into English. I saw Erez is going to give a course. Is wonderful. Is really great, like Sunday evenings, and then Venerable Tekchok. He is talking about mind training. So there you can ask him these questions. How can I stop others from harming without being violent? This is there, you get all the advice you get there. I think it's also Sundays, isn't it? As far as I remember. Okay, let's look at the advantage of forgiving. You know, forgiving is painful. Forgiving is painful because we give away power. We give away the power over the other person. I have a right to punish them, isn't it? Yes or no? Now you can give me your opinion. Isn't a grudge, isn't that some kind of feeling of power? That I have a right not to be nice to this person, not to be kind to this person. Who gave you that right? It's kind of a universal agreement also. You know, even if somebody makes a mistake, it gives us, we think we have the right not to be kind to them and shout at them. Maybe I close this and I want to look at this. Has it ever happened to you? You made a mistake, not on purpose. Nobody makes mistakes on purpose. But if I see them, I think they could have prevented that purpose, isn't it? I mean, that's how our ego mind is and how ego mind reacts. Has it ever happened to you? You made a mistake and then people shouted at you, got angry with you? Yes or no? Come on. Happens all the time, and we do it as well to others. When you are the one who is making the mistake, you say, oh, thank you very much. This will really prevent me from making these mistakes. No, they get angry at us. We feel hurt. We get angry at them. And then instead of doing something about the mistake, a whole big problem starts that doesn't need to be there. Yeah? Do you see what I mean? Hopefully. Yeah. So it's a little bit the same with forgiving, you know. It's like we hold this grudge and it gives us some kind of power, and we like this power, but it's not beneficial. You know, or if somebody has made a mistake and then sometimes we start to be neglecting them or being unkind and this and that. And we think that we have a right, but it doesn't make us happy. This is the thing. We want happiness, I hope. So anyway, the advantage of forgiving is it reduces depression, anxiety, anger, less physical mental problems, reduces stress. This is not from Buddhism. This is scientists, psychologists who say that. It helps to have better relationships, more compassion and well-being. Not forgiving is like the airplane that cannot land. You know, it's just turning around what happened. Or having a crap TV channel and refusing to change the channel. Have you ever been caught in these reels, you know, on YouTube or I don't know where, and you think it's total crap, but you stop watching? So this is, you know, not being able to let go. Okay. So not forgiving also keeps the wound open. I just saw it flashing by. It keeps the wound open, right? Because we think about the event again and again and again and again. It's like it's scratching. Sometimes, you know, sometimes remembering something, there is some kind of perverse pleasure in this, like scratching a wound in a way. And then it can't heal, right? But, you know, forgiving is not forgetting also. Forgiving is not, oh, then I let the other do whatever they want to do. Forgiving is maybe I go to Fred Luskin, so that's much better. Forgiving is kind of, I want to have my peace of mind back. Now, we discussed it also already last Saturday, but it really helps when the person comes and says, yes, I really hurt you, I harmed you, and all this. I do agree. But sometimes in this, what helps, again, you know, I'm talking about very, very subtle attitudes here. Sometimes it helps. There is some kind of thought of revenge. The other person comes and we feel that they're not happy because they have harmed us. And there is in it, but this you only find if you are doing mindfulness meditation and you really know how to honestly see your attitudes and your thoughts also sometimes, and you know how you feel. There is when we feel that the other one feels bad, there is a little bit of happiness that, yeah, he feels bad about having harmed me. So this is why I'm saying going to apologize, and then it's so complicated. It's so complicated that it's done in a skillful way. Because very often when the person comes and says, oh yeah, I know I hurt you, please forgive me, and we imply that the person doesn't suffer from that, then we get angry at them. And then it doesn't help. The words, I know that I've harmed you and I also hurt. Because we hurt. When we harm somebody else, it doesn't make us feel happy. Our happiness gets covered. It gets kind of covered up. Yeah. So the forgiving, the safest way to learn, to practice, to forgive is when we don't need the other to come and say, oh, I'm really sorry, I hurt. And I wanted to do a meditation with you at the beginning, and we're going to do this now, to try to feel something. And then we go into the 9 steps of forgiving. Oh, you see, even if I do have notes, I'm not kind of applying them. Terrible, isn't it? Okay, so just instead of using words, I invite you to be courageous and to look inside of you and to see what you feel when I say something, when I describe a certain situation. So first we do a few minutes of breathing. We still have half an hour. We might still go through these 9 steps. Otherwise, I post it in the chat. Because they're not so difficult to understand, they're just good to know. So relax. This is always, if we want to look at our own mind, don't when you're really agitated and you think, okay, I'm going to sit down and meditate. Sometimes it might enhance the agitation. Try to find ways and means to relax. And this is always the best, is always to notice something with your senses. So that can be your breath. So connect with your body. And already at the beginning, we can apply some positive attitudes like being grateful that the body works. You can walk. Your organs digest. Today, maybe if you're fasting, say hello. Hello, organs. Today, free day. Isn't that wonderful? You don't have to work today for a while. I give you a rest. And you smile at them and you say thank you. Might feel childish, but it's very necessary. You know, they work for us 24 hours a day. Stomach, intestines, lungs, heart. They keep us alive. Okay? So if you are fasting, then smile at them. Say, hey guys, I give you a free day. Less work today. Isn't that wonderful? If you're not fasting, then, you know, say thank you that they keep doing this work again and again and again and again. Maybe that will relax you a bit. I see some of you smile. If you put a smile on your face, even if it's a totally silly joke, it's okay. You relax. This is it. You become spacious. Or you think of a place that you like very much and you think of being there. The best thing, you think of a person that you, just hearing their words makes you relax. You see, this is one also of the Buddhist motivations, of the bodhicitta motivations. Whoever hears my name, may they immediately relax. Not because they love me, because of me, but because of them. Isn't that wonderful to be a person that whenever somebody talks about you or whenever somebody hears your name, they relax? So think about somebody like this. I always think about my masters, of course, my gurus, my teachers. Maybe teacher is a better word. I'm so grateful to them. I'm so thankful for having taught me to become less self-concerned, become stronger because of less self-concern. Believe it or not, the less you have self-concern, the stronger you become. But in order to train that, you have to have, how to say, you have to have confidence in your own goodness. And my teachers, they have taught me that. If I look at all the beings I know, personally, I have nothing to forgive, but I have things that need to be forgiven that I've done to others. But from others, I couldn't come up with anything that would provoke a tension in the heart. And that's the point. So if your mind is relaxed and your heart is open, then we can think about difficult things. So now we have to think about somebody that you're not treating in a right way. Again, you know, if you do this for the first time, don't think about your biggest negative action. Or if you are strong enough to bear it, then think about it. But just somebody that you have, you know, you have been disrespectful, You're not fulfilling their needs because you don't like them in a way, or somebody that you have harmed. Think about that person. And it's good if it's somebody that now totally ignores you. Maybe you were kind of important for that person, or you did like to spend time with the person, but the person threw you out of their heart. They ignore you, they shun you, they get out of your way. How do you feel? Can you feel the deep wish to be forgiven? That everything can go back to normal? Normal meaning having a good time, being happy meeting that person. But you can feel the person is not happy meeting you. You would like to continue the relationship. Can you feel the wish to be forgiving in you? And now we go deeper down and to see, can you feel this kind of attitude? Why isn't this person forgiving me? It wasn't so bad what I did. Or excuses like, yeah, I was in a bad state of mind when I did it, and I shouldn't have done it, all these kinds of things. Can we see that attitude when we wish somebody to forgive us? But it wasn't so bad. It wasn't so big. We really think that it should be possible for the other to forgive me, isn't it? Especially when we come with an apology. When we come with an apology, almost the kind of the demand to be forgiven is already included. So this is why I'm saying this is dangerous sometimes. If you go without that demand, but the wish to be forgiven, try to find that one. We have it. It's a good thing. So when we have harmed somebody, as you can see, we also hurt. We're also unhappy. Do you signal your pain to the one who has been hurt? Do we ever include that? I'm sorry that I hurt you, and I have to say, it makes me feel hurt also. Why don't we say it? Because it sounds hypocritical, but it's fact. How easy is it to go to somebody that we have hurt and admit and ask for forgiveness? Or just say, I'm sorry, I know I have hurt you. Forgiveness is the other one who decides. Forgiveness is a gift. We have no right to ask for it. Is it easy to go and say, I'm really sorry for what I've said or what I've done? What do we expect from the other one when we go with an open heart like this? Aren't we afraid of the other one? that they might use it against us, and this is why we don't go and we don't say, and we behave as if nothing has happened, or we make it very small? It could be. You just have to ask you that question. Are we afraid of their anger, which we find is so justified when somebody harms us, isn't it? Aren't we afraid of the anger of the other when we have harmed them also? Do we see that anger is justified? Okay, now to make it clearer, or to kind of, we turn the whole thing around. Somebody has harmed us. So again, not somebody personal, somebody that you know. If you can't find anybody, you don't need to do it. It's wonderful. If you don't have anybody that when you think of them, you don't wish them to be happy and to be well, very spontaneously. If you don't have anybody in your life that when you hear that they are well and they are happy, and then your heart closes and you think they don't deserve it, if there's nobody like this, then of course, it's wonderful. But there are people, I think, not always, but sometimes, who don't treat us the way we want to be treated. Somebody who has harmed us. So then when we look at it, do we feel their pain of having harmed us? Do we see that pain? That pain that we feel when we harm others? Most of the time not. If they would come and say, I'm sorry that I harmed you, I also hurt. Would we believe that? Would we see that I don't have to punish them, they're already punished? Because they hurt, just like I do when I hurt and harm others. When I'm not my usual kind self. When I show my angry self. Can we see that they also are not happy when they're angry? And can we see that they also don't have control over their anger just the way I don't have control over my anger? It's training. Suppressing anger is not controlling it. Not expressing anger, that can be trained. Anger arising cannot be trained. It's seeds, imprints, habits, tendencies. We can lessen them and finally they will disappear. But not acting out anger, this we can train. By being aware, by being mindful. So when we think, we harm others and we think, oh, come on, it should be so difficult to forgive. When you turn it around, do we find it easy to forgive, to let go, not to keep that last, arrow so that we can shoot it? Don't we feel that, in forgiving, I give up my power over the other person? Or, no, they don't deserve to be forgiven, they should suffer. Again, we don't have these awful thoughts. I'm just talking more about attitudes, things you feel, not in your head, but in your guts, in your heart. Don't we have expectations on these people that now, okay, I forgive, but now you're not allowed to harm me anymore. Now you have to change. And we don't see, you know, how difficult it is to transform, to change, how difficult it is to kind of change habits and tendencies. We see it in ourselves, but somehow we refuse to see it in others. So this is just what I wanted to make. Maybe you saw something. Harming others not only creates negative karma for the future, it also prevents us from being happy now, if we recognize it. Forgiving opens the door to have a harmonious relationship again. It doesn't mean you have to, if the person is kind of abusive with words or physical, it doesn't mean you have to have contact with them. It means that you are able, from the bottom of your heart, to wish them all the best. May you be happy. May you be well. May you be able to stop harming others. And then now this would be what a Buddhist is adding. If your term comes, like the karmic result from having harmed me comes back or ripens, may it not be me that provokes that karmic result. The Buddhists view that if you harm others with the wish to harm them, it's like a boomerang. At one point it will come back. It's just a Buddhist view. You don't have to accept it. I'm not telling you not to defend yourself at all. Whether it be family, friends, or, you know, bigger dimensions. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that we have to take care of our mind, that we learn to keep the heart open and to have at least a wish for others to be happy, or let's say to be well, not to be harmed, not to suffer, but to find what they're wishing for, so that they can be well and relax and then stop going around harming other people. Harm always comes out of an unhappy mind. Can we recognize that? Okay, then we have 10 minutes to look at these 9 steps, and then David will do a meditation, a proper meditation with you on forgiving. Okay, so we just look at these 9 steps. I will put some of the notes in the chat, and then you can download it if you want, and then look at them. You know, also about how to apologize, and all this is a whole science. These kind of forgiving and apologizing. There's so many pitfalls in there. But the purer your heart, the purer, you know, when we ask for forgiving, somebody to forgive us, the more we're concerned about the other, that they feel bad when they hurt us, the more the happier we become. So So Fred Laskin says, to forgive, you need to be able to feel the pain. So we acknowledge what has been done has harmed me. So you need to be strong for that also. You need to, in order to be able to forgive, really to forgive, kind of to, not to make it that it hadn't happened, but you can remember the situation and you don't continue to feel hurt. This is what forgiving is. You have to remember the situation, of course. You know, there's a very nice sutra that talks about the second arrow. Like the first arrow that somebody shoots at us, they harm us, this, that's our karma, there's nothing we can do. The second arrow, you know, we pick it up. There's another one who's lying on the ground to be picked up. We pick it up with our not wanting to forgive and thinking about the situation with anger again and again and again. Sleepless nights, having the arrow going, look, it really hurt me. Wow, I still think about it. Wow, that's so painful. That should make you laugh, you know, when we think, but this is what we do. The second arrow, we have a choice. So you need to feel the pain of the first arrow and say, no, thank you. I'm not going to put more arrows in there. You need to be able to express it with words and tell a trustworthy person, not the one who has harmed you, because he will say, oh no, come on, what are you talking about? This was not so big, you know? Confronting people with what they've done to you, oh, it's so difficult. Maybe they learn something from it. Most of the time, they just shoot back. Then we have a third arrow, and then a fourth, and a fifth. Okay, then the second one, the commitment to yourself that you will do everything to feel better for yourself, not for the other that you are forgiving. Well, he's probably not a Buddhist. In Buddhist terms, it's also for the other that you forgive. But first of all, you have to take care of yourself. If you can forgive, you'll be okay. And you will be protected for creating more harm. The third, not necessarily reconciliation or condoning of action. Find peace through understanding. Yeah, that when I'm harming others, I'm in a bad state. Must be the same for others. Blame less, take it less personal, change the story. Now, what's the Buddhist view? Of course, it's karma, the boomerang coming back. So why do I want to shoot it again? Thank you very much. It's enough that it hurt. It hurts when it kind of hits me when it comes back. That's the Buddhist view. But you don't have to adopt the Buddhist view. If you don't know it well, maybe, because you see also karma, it can go totally the wrong way. When people usually say, when they are suffering or something like that, oh, it's my karma. Like David yesterday, he said, we can't go to Steboker. It is, what did he say? It's kind of communal karma, collective karma. You should have added, but we also have the collective karma that we can have it on Zoom. So it's still happening. See, we use this whole thing with karma only when things happen that we don't like. When something happens that we like, we're not going, oh, wow, what good. Sometimes we do say good karma, but, you know, we're not saying, oh, so great this happens. Whatever good happens, whatever bad happens is karma, is not me. Whatever good happens, I did it. Isn't it? This is how we are. This is what we do. So that would be the Buddhist view. So then get the right perspective, recognizing that pain comes from hurt feelings, thoughts, and physical upset now, not from what happened then. But we feel so justified to hold on to these things, isn't it? Now, I can imagine that some of you psychologists, your hair is standing on end because of what I'm saying. So this is why I'm saying, you know, I can only talk about this from the Buddhist point of view, not from the psychological point of view. Psychology point of view, I might say totally the wrong things. But when you think that, then also try to see, you know, even you as a psychologist, to some people you have to say this, like it's the same situation. But to some people you say this, and to other people you say that, according to what they can take. where was I? Heal the hurt feelings. Be aware, strong emotions do not last that long if you hold them with awareness. If we could ask money for that advice, wow, we would all be millionaires. If you discover strong feelings, if you train in meditation before you jump into the strong feelings, that's a prerequisite. But if you have some kind of mindfulness training, you have learned, if I just hold the feeling with awareness and with kindness also, but I'm not kind of wallowing in the feeling with thoughts to nourish it. I just watch the feeling, not you should not be there. Another good thing also is, I think it's Tara Brach at one point who said, when you feel the feeling that hurts, you go, this belongs. We don't want to chuck it out. It belongs. It belongs, so I can study it, I can watch it with mindfulness, it will fizzle out. And then it will come back, then your awareness, your mindfulness goes, and then you start thinking about it again, and boom, it's there. So we are so reluctant of letting go what is harming us. Why? Because it makes us feel important. We are somebody. It feeds the ego. It's just so perverse. We're so distorted. We're so confused. Me included, by the way. I'm not saying you, I'm saying we. Because I'm also confused about ego and this and that. I'm the middle of the universe and all this. When you feel upset, practice stress management to reduce body reaction of fight, flight, and freeze. There's also psychology. There's many. If you don't know what this is, ask your psychologist that you might be going to. We have these. We have usually these 3 reactions. None of it is helpful. Give up experience things that others do not want to give you. If they don't want to forgive you, give up. It's okay. If they don't want to be kind to you, give up, it's okay. If, sometimes people complain to me about a certain person and they say, he's always this, or she, always this. Saying that he is always means in your mind, this person is permanently this. So why do you expect them to change? See, also the way we talk sometimes, when we criticize somebody, we say, he is, it's nothing to do with me, is he? Always such an idiot. Always, when we say he's always reacting in that way, we give 0 chance that something can change. We protect permanence, kind of coming from that side, kind of being objectively existing out there, cannot change. So give up. It's not like this. We can work with our own mind. Give up wanting to educate other people. Unless they ask you to educate them, and your children, of course, because you're responsible for them. Then be flexible. See the good things that you have. We have so many good things, but we can't see them when we are unhappy. Especially when we're angry. Anger cannot see the slightest atom of anything pleasant. Look for others' way to attain your goals than by methods that hurt you or change focus. Okay, so let go again, this whole thing. Live well, this is a good one. Live well, a life lived well is the best revenge to the other person that harmed you or that hates you. Instead of focusing on wounded feelings and thereby giving the person power over you. So we give power over the other person if we kind of feel hurt. Learn to look for love, beauty, and kindness around you. Then the 9th one, amend the grievance story, and this is the slogan of today. Remind yourself of the heroic choice to forgive. Oh, it's 11:30. Okay, so we touched on many, many things, which we always do, and nothing is, a lot of loose ends. So that's fine, because now it's up to you to kind of tie it together. And, there were some more things here, but anyway, my time is up. Very difficult to give up punishment. Yeah, but it's only difficult. It is not impossible. The attitude wanting the other to be unhappy and to be punished. If you have the attitude wanting the other to be unhappy, he will keep harming. It's very difficult to have an attitude for the one who harms you to be happy. It's very difficult, but it's not impossible. And talk to people who had been hurt really badly. These people become famous. There's this lady called Margot Friedlander. She's German. She's still alive. She was in the Holocaust. They made a documentary of her life. I mean, they made a movie with young actors of her life when she was hidden by Germans. And then, the neighbors kind of she was hidden by Germans. And then she is talking about her life now. She's still alive. She's 100 and something. And it's so inspiring. And they won the first prize on German TV for this year, this documentary. She's called Margot Friedlander. So it's somebody who's still alive, who is happy. And then there was this piano player. What was her name? Hertz or something? Judith Hertz or something? Also 111 years old. You have plenty of examples in your tradition that teach you to kind of wanting others to be happy. So that, why do we want them to be happy? So that they can stop harming others. The chat, yes, of course. Oh, thank you for reminding me. I would have forgotten. You see, this is another thing why I want to stop teaching. I forget so many things. My mind is like really like this, and I have to admit I'm not really disturbed by it. But I want to stop teaching because I find it a bit irresponsible. I know that then I'm not fishing for compliments, okay? I'm really, really serious. I love to do religious, Buddhist practices, prayers, sutras. By the way, at 1:00, I will start reciting the sutra because I'm also fasting. It's easier to fast when you do something than when you have nothing to do. So I continued the sutra reading at 1:00, and I have to go into the chat. And so I still come to Israel, do Tara retreat, and Nunes and whatever you want, but I really, really, really please, I can still give these kinds of talks, but I really don't feel comfortable because I jump around even more than before, and it's difficult. I find it irresponsible. Okay, so I have to find it first.
But not impossible.
It's not impossible, it's true, but it's irresponsible. Okay. Where is the Yom Kippur here? 9 steps of forgiving. Okay. And I think you have some more information on it about, Then whether you want to go and ask for forgiveness, this you decide. But please, if you do ask for forgiveness, do not expect the other person not wanting to punish you. Because as somebody said, it's very difficult to give up the wish to punish for punishment. So it's the same for others when we hurt them. Okay? Okay, so you have a 25 minutes break, and then David will guide you through the meditation on forgiving, so maybe it becomes more clear, hopefully. And I wish I could hear you all day, but you would get fed up with this like very, very quickly. Don't worry. Just ask people that I live with. I go on and on and on and on and on about something. This is it, this is it. It's the suffering of change. You find it, whoa, so wonderful. And then you have to bear it. There's plenty of videos on me on YouTube. What's it called, DFI? So then you make a commitment to listen to that 24 hours, one day. you get cured, I guarantee. Okay, so try not to lose your humor also, please. Even the situation is difficult. And of course, we after every session, really dedicate all the effort that we're making by thinking about the things, doing whatever you do, that the hostages get released, that this madness will stop. And all the people who can make decisions to start making decisions that create peace and not just destroying the other one in order to be protected. To change direction, to change perspective, to change kind of, whatever. Thank you very much. And really, thank you so much for being so forgiving, forgiving for my kind of deluded talk here. I'm not fishing for compliments, okay? So please don't tell me how wonderful it was. Okay. David, do you want to say something? Want to announce something or?
No, just enjoy your break. We see you at 12 o'clock for a meditation, and it will be in Hebrew for the non-speaking Hebrew.
Yeah.
You asked in the chat before, so it will be in Hebrew, and the rest of the other sessions will be in English.
Okay. Then in the evening also we do a prayer to create positive energy, and we do a specific dedication also in the last session. If anybody wants to join at 1 o'clock, it's this link. We kept this link to read the sutra, to create energy for, to change the conditions so that we can have peace, because as long as the conditions are not there, there will be no peace. We have to create the causes. So, and reading sutras, even if you don't know, understand what you read. This could help. I'm not saying it will. It could. At least we can try. And if you are fasting, I tell you, it makes fasting so much easier when you do something virtuous. This is why it's good to fast on these days when virtuous things are done in groups. And I'm going out in the street because somebody said, you have to go out and see how Tel Aviv is when there's no cars in the street. So I go. Bye.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. This definitely.
Thank you so much.